And it's time for us all to take a look at what Jesus brought us and to accept that he's our teacher. We're the student. As students, it is for us to surpass the teacher. And he left that for us, each one of us. More than once, he said, the things that I do, ye shall do, and greater things. Most of mankind has chosen to view in what I call hero worship, Jesus, Buddha, people of that nature. They look at those people as anomalies on the planet and things that cannot be surpassed. And yet the teaching tells us otherwise. It is for us to become other Christs, and it is for us to do greater things. That's the challenge. And it does not help us as we continue to look around saying, oh, I can't do that. It is for us to realize that with God all things are possible. So that we need to look at ourselves and realize the tremendous potential that we have. And we have a great legacy. All of the teaching is there for us. There isn't anything hidden anymore. You can find it. So all of the challenges that faced Jesus are there for us to surmount as he did and do it even better. Now that seems difficult, I know, but we have to set the thought aside that we can't. The thought that has to be present is we can. And in each of our walks of lives, it does not require us to change who and what we are, to change our job, to move on to another thing. It only requires us to monitor and control our thoughts, to understand that the physical world is controlled by the spiritual world, to understand that we can partake of that. All we need to do is to control our mentalities to live in the spirit world and use the power, the truth, the beauty that's gained there and apply that on the physical plane. It's there for each of us. That's the task we have before us. Now, throughout this year, we're going to be working on that. We're going to do the best we can to move forward. And when there's times that we have roadblocks and think we're unable to do something, we're going to renew ourselves with the thought that we can do that, we can move forward. We'll be renewed by the transformation of our minds. During the summer, I've seen it happen to a couple of people that have held long-standing beliefs, and they've been able to change those so that they can move forward and look at themselves in a different way and accomplish more than they've accomplished, to change their perspective. And when that happens, and it may be rare, but when it happens, we can take pleasure in the fact that one of our fellow human beings has moved forward. And it doesn't matter what notch of life, where we are, that we're working. That doesn't matter. It's progress that is necessary. And any person that continues to work in making themselves better, in improving who and what they are, and I mean in a spiritual sense, not in having more money or a bigger house or a better car or whatever it is, those come along the way. That's part of life. But life really is not dependent upon those. They're just aids along the way. All of those physical entrapments that we have, they aid us in freeing us to be able to do more. Many times we abuse those things because we get caught up in them. But it's for us to wake up and understand what they're there for and what their purpose is, to enjoy them, to move forward. So for each of us, and I think one of the things that I want to do over this period of time, at least for the period of time that I am up here on the pulpit, is I want to switch more to a question type of situation, where if in the course of when I'm discussing something, any of you has a question, maybe you can just indicate that to me, and then when I finish the train of thought, we can deal with the question. And that's done in an effort to want to place some more spontaneity into the situation, but also to make sure that thoughts, ideas, or questions that you have get answered. Now, it is not my intent to enter into a dialogue or an argument concerning a point, but what you will gain out of that is you will gain at least my perspective in looking at something. And then if you don't agree with that, that's fine. We can discuss it later. But just for the sake of the fact that we have something that's going to go on camera, that's going to be on the internet, we don't want to enter into a full-on discussion of it, see. But part of that is because I would like, I don't know all of the questions. Some of them come to me. Maybe I should know all of the questions. That would help me be. But you can help me with that. And I'm sure the questions that you have, other people might have that are out there on the internet. And maybe they'll get something answered, maybe they won't. Time tells. But I think it's time for us to move in that direction and try to deal with certain situations like that. Our course is resuming in the National Academy, and that's really good. That's been a very interesting course. We're at the end of it. We're close. And we'll move into Course 6. But mental therapeutics is indeed a fertile ground for us to be able to work and to deal with our own mentalities and the things that we consider important, and look at those and decide whether or not they're not as important as they should be, and maybe some things need to be reorganized. Some things placed at a higher level on our scale of priorities, and some move down to a lower level. A lot of times we fight those ideas, but I've learned that age seems to take care of that. As we get older, we can sometimes get forced to look at it another way. And that's okay too. That's not to say that it lessens us in any way, but it opens us to new opportunities, new areas of growth that we hadn't looked at before, that blinded us to other things. And once we find those new areas, we're very pleasantly surprised. It's like, oh gee, where was that a few years ago? So I want all of us to think about that and those thoughts over the next week. And I think Reverend Macaulay will probably give us a lesson sermon next week. So you actually got 2 weeks to think about this and see what happens here in our lives and in our growth. But I want this year to be spent, and I know every year is spent on the idea of growth, but I think we have to put more emphasis on it. It has to be a little more paramount in our mentalities. And I'm going to make it more paramount in mine, so here we go. Anyway, with those thoughts in mind, let us turn to our acceptance statement. Now may the light illumine our mind with wisdom. May love fill our heart with understanding. May the one life shine forth from our innermost being, so that we walk renewed in light, life, love, today, tomorrow,